All right, today I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a DIY kind of little thing. Just a quick disclaimer though, I'm not responsible for any damages or anything that could be caused by this. This is a fairly safe thing to do. So what I'm gonna be doing is, if you notice, I have the IKEA Detolf shelf, which is a really good, cheap shelf to buy for collectibles and whatnot. And as you can see, the legs right there, that's for my Dolphy Dream, and the other one next to it, you can kind of see it, is my quarter scale uh, Hatsune Miku. And I had to make it a little bit longer, the shelf, in order to fit her Hatsune Miku, but now my Dolphy Dream, the third scale, is not fitting, of course, the pink one. So what I did was I added these guys right here. You can see one right there, a little metal, so like a metal wire clamp. And I added this other one over here to this side, and there's also two more in the back. And then I also added this little like foam on the side right here, and that's on both of them, and that's just to cushion it. And so with adding that, I was able to lower the shelf at about, I think it's about 4 inches on the stock height. Let me check. Oh, more than that. 4.5. About, I was able to lower it about a 4.5 inches over the original height. And so in doing so, I was able to get my quarter scale and plenty of space. But now it's not enough space for my third scale Sakura Miku. And so what I'm be doing today is I'm going to now lower all of the shelves. So instead of having only one lowered, now all of my shelves are going to be lowered. So I'm just going to help you. It's fairly quick. I'm going to help you, walk you through the little steps you got to take and what to do. So but yeah. So just remember, at the end of this is a DIY. Just remember, I'm not responsible for any damages you do, or if you accidentally break the shelf in whatever way. But if you got the shelf already put together, if you can find one, someone selling one for super cheap, this is a really cheap, really easy way to get this lowered and get whatever height you need out of it. And yeah. All right, now let's continue on with the disassembly. All right, now let's get to actually starting to look at this stuff. So what I did off camera was I made little marks right here, and from here to here. So I know it doesn't look like much, but that is about a 1/3 of an inch. And so the item that we'll be using to put them together is this guy. Hold up, I took it apart already. Is this guy? Here we go. Is a 3/16 wire rope clip. And so with this, you're gonna use it to clamp around and tighten it. And this is what's gonna create our new shelf. So it's a little U shape. If I could focus, please. So it's a little U shape, and you put it around, and then like that, it'll help to grab it. You know, these are pretty hefty, so you just gotta make sure they're tight enough. The only thing I gotta kind of give a little warning or something about is the fact that these wire braces, when you assemble this thing, because it comes in pieces, unless you buy it used, it comes in pieces, and the way the threads are on the bottom and how they're cut sometimes, the shelves can be off just like that. Like a lot of people claim it as a defective part, or that's how it is. And I've have 3 shelves so far, and out of the 3, one of them is like near perfect, while the other 2, one of them like slightly off, like less than an eighth of an inch off, or maybe even like, yeah, maybe less than an eighth of an inch. But the other one the other one's pretty bad. It's really bad. So yeah, so if you measure it out like that, you could run into some problems just because it's already off. And then you want to get this size, not anything smaller, because if you get something smaller, it won't have enough of an opening on the little clips itself to grab it. So what I'm going to do right now is just tighten it all by hand. Oops. Just tighten it by hand. And then when I get it snug enough, then I'll just put the shelf on top and then make sure it's leveled. And then after that, then really give it the good tighten. So let me just take a look underneath, line it up with the line. Oh, you know what? Let me go a little bit lower, because yeah, a little bit above. So you want to be a little bit. So the line that you can, let me see if you can see it. Line is right there. So I'm just gonna slightly cover it, and then you want it angled in, like so if it's the square, you kind of want like a 95 degree angle in. So that way when you close it, this does not, because you do not want that to hit the glass at all. So I just tighten it with my hand, with that one side, and then this side I'm gonna do the same. Just tighten it with my hand. So we get a uniform tightness on both sides. And I can tighten it pretty well with my hand. I work on my car all the time. So all right, now let me put on the other sides, and then we'll go from there. All right, we were able to get the whole thing on, and now it's in. I did run into a little bit of a problem. So the problem I ran into was the bars on the side right here. They were blocking me from putting the shelf in, and it is almost near perfect. It's slightly off. You can hear that. You can see that little bit of a tilt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift this one up just a slight little bit, and then I'm gonna add the little bit of foam in the middle. But just by going to the side, so what I did in order to get it past these bars, because these bars won't let it come in. So what I did was I loosened them, and this would really help if you had another person with you, and you just loosen them, and loosen them all down to where they're all the way on the bottom, but like a little bit snug, okay? And then I'm just gonna line that up real quick. So you just loosen it, and then you just tighten it by hand, and then that will grab it just enough, just so that when you want to do your final tighten, it'll be nice and tightened. And then another problem that you could have is that since these are kind of the bars on this are kind of free floating, it could like bump into the back, but don't worry too much about it, because we're gonna put the foam, and you could add the foam to the sides over here, to the sides of it as well. And then when you add the foam to the sides, it'll help to cushion it. I mean, on these, I have that little white bar you could see running up and down it. Might be a little difficult to see it, but that little white bar, that is my LED light strips. But so far, I'm pleased with how it is. It doesn't. I just tightened that one so it doesn't do a little tilt. I can the good test is to push on the corners, like give a light little push. You don't want to push too much. This is glass, so just give it a light push, and then good to go. All right, now for the foam part. All right, now I went and I got the little foam that I'll be using, and so what it is it's this right here, weather stripping tape or weather stripping. So I know this is meant for cars, but I mean it does a really good job of compressing, and on top of that it's already sticky, so you can just throw it on. So you see this is some of that foam, and you can compress it pretty small, but then it'll just slowly air back up over time. But I mean, you don't have to worry too much about that. But the main thing is it's really soft. Oh, this is a little just thing on top so it doesn't stick nothing. But it's just really soft, really smooth. And that's what you really want, just because you want it to kind of compress in and then get all of the little nooks and crannies of this. And that way it protects the glass from hitting that straight metal, and you don't want it to chip, or you don't want it to crack on you. You want it to grab it as the best you can. And since it's only getting about 4 points of contact versus the bars with like the little rails on the backside, so I'm just gonna go in, lift it up, and stick it right on top. And then once I get all of them in there, it'll compress more down, and it'll get more flush, just gradually over time. But you can kind of see how it's already starting to like compress it. More weight, more stuff you put on it, the more it'll be. So just cutting off about a quarter of an inch or so. No, I think about half an inch or an inch size pieces. About an inch. You want to cut about an inch off, and a lot of this, I mean, this stuff will last. I mean, then again, since I work a lot on my car, I have a lot of random stuff like this laying around, so that's why I use it. But I know this weather stripping tape is pretty easy to find, and it is not that expensive. Just the same thing as with these wire little brackets I'm using to hold up this shelf. These were about like $1.50 each, and you could find them fairly easily. I mean, it's not some custom order part or anything. And then here, let me tilt it for you guys. Then you can see on this side it's already compressed in, and yeah. So let me get the back sides and everything, and then we'll go to the next part. Okay, sorry if there's a bit of an echo, but as you can see on this back one, I put a little bit of the foam on the back, and then they've got the foam on the top. And then after I tighten it, because I haven't tightened it yet, you want to adjust it a little bit and make sure you get the most surface touching the glass on top, so that way you have most contact. Same thing with the back over here as well. I tilted it a little bit, got a little bit more better, put a little bit of foam in the back just to prevent it, that straight metal from smacking. Because these posts, these metal posts inside the Detolf shelf, they do shake a lot. They aren't very firm. So that'll help to prevent you from chipping or cracking the back, and you don't want that to happen. Alright, so here we're at pretty much the last part, is where you're just going to go ahead and just tighten them. I've already tightened the back side, so I'm just checking on these. So I'm just giving them a little bit of a twist. That one already felt tight enough. A little bit of a twist right there. Let that cushion come back on it. Make sure everything's lined up. Like I said again, the back one's already done. So it seems to be pretty evened out. If you're off by like 1/8 of an inch or a little bit less than that, you should be fine. You can continue with the little cushion in there. It'll help get it. So now I'm putting some pressure on it, just to make sure there's no wobbling. Make sure it doesn't slip, or I feel something slipping. And then now I'm just gonna go through real quick and then just give a little pressure on the corners to see if there's any wobble. Let me line up the camera a little bit. There you go. Make sure there's none of that little tapping noise that indicates it's a little bit off. All right, now for the finishing touch, I'm just gonna put a figure on it real quick. One of my favorites. One of my favorite, favorite girls from my favorite anime. Let me get you a little bit of a, sorry for that little bit of a sticky note. It says some stuff on it. If you're a fan of the anime, it's just a reference to what they say after they kill any monster. Yeah, and it's autographed. So yeah, you can see she's on there. It's a little bit lowered. Everything's gonna add up, hopefully, to have enough room so I can put my big quarter scale and my third and my quarter scale up on top, so they can be standing, because I'm trying to avoid getting creases on their outfits. But overall, this is fairly easy, fairly cheap. If you want to do just one layer, it's pretty cheap. If you want to do a couple, it kind of helps out, because you're gonna be buying. If you do end up buying, this foam stuff, the weather stripping, it will add up to be a lot more cheaper this way. Or if you just save it and later on, But if you're not, this is really only for quarter scale, thirds, or anything bigger than that. Or if you just get figures that are just really tall for whatever reason. This really does helps a lot. And then on top of that, these Detolfs, you can find them fairly cheap, find them used. You can find them at just about anywhere for a really good price. Or if you do have an IKEA nearby, you can buy it. I just highly recommend it, just because they're so cheap now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.